All right, Shalom. This is the brother Nahalia from the GMS Orlando camp. I want to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Ruach Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who are the elders of Yasher Allah. And a sincere salutation to all you Akim, who are preaching this word and believing this word, and to the Akwath, who will believe in this word, in all truth and in sincerity. Yahweh is the name of the one they ignorantly call God. Yahweh Shai is the name of the one they ignorantly call Jesus. Bahashem is in the name. Rakah is spirit. Kodash is holy. Akyam is brothers. Akwath is sisters. Shalom means peace. And Yasher Allah is Israel in the ancient Paleo Hebrew. This is Matthew chapter 13 and verse 16. And it reads, "But blessed are your eyes, for they see, and your ears, for they hear. For verily I say unto you, that many prophets and righteous men have desired to see those things which ye see, and have not seen them, and to hear those things which ye hear, and have not heard them." And I want to go into a lesson on this through the Spirit, because I was meditating on, prophecy, and one of the most important things that I was meditating on that inspired this lesson was how close we are to the fulfillment of the things promised. It reminds me of Hebrews, the 11th chapter. The 12th chapter. All right, this is Hebrews 12 and 1. "Wherefore, seeing we also are compassed about with so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight, and the sin which doth so easily beset us, and let us run with patience the race that is set before us." All right, because you think about the records, the righteous forefathers that we've had in our records, and how they saw these promises, as it says in Hebrews the 11th chapter, they saw these promises afar off, and it made me meditate on how the scriptures talk about we'll have tribulation in the world, we'll have trouble in the flesh, but overall through the Spirit, we're blessed. You know, again, it's balanced with it, right? Because you still go through certain things in your walk that are painful, that are uncomfortable. As the scriptures say in Micah the 7th chapter, matter of fact, I'm gonna grab it. Micah chapter 7 and 9, "I will bear the indignation of the Lord, because I have sinned against him, until he plead my cause and execute judgment for me. He will bring me forth to the light, and I shall behold his righteousness." So we still have to bear the indignation of the Lord, which means we still have to be chastened. And as it says in Hebrews the 12th chapter, as a matter of fact, let's get it. This is Hebrews chapter 12, and I'll jump down to the point in verse 11. And I want to get this in the NLT. Hebrews 12 and 11. "No discipline is enjoyable while it is happening." So right now we're being disciplined. And that's not easy for any brother, Every brother has their measure, but overall, all of the servants of the Lord, have to basically go through the straight gate, which is a position of difficulty, which means your walk by nature is going to be uncomfortable. Now, the balance of it is that we're closer than we've ever been to the promises given to our forefathers. When you really think about that, how many lifetimes our righteous forefathers lived, seeing these promises afar off, knowing they weren't going to see those promises in that lifetime, and still kept the faith and still held their faith. For us to get to this point now, where we still have trials and tribulations, yet we're closer than we've ever been to the accomplishment of the things that were promised to our forefathers. This is a very beautiful moment in our legacy. Even now, as we live and breathe and go through our own personal situations through the Spirit, to know what we know through the Spirit, this is a very important moment in the legacy of our nation. And the ones who bear the indignation of the Lord, who are of the elect, Lord willing we be a part of that number, this is a very important moment for them. Lord willing we be a part of that number. Now this is Hebrews 11, and I want to jump down to verse 13. And I want to grab this in the NLT. Hebrews 11 and 13. All these people died still believing what Yahweh Shema Shai had promised them. They did not receive what was promised, but they saw it all from a distance and welcomed it. They agreed that they were foreigners and nomads here on earth. Now, when I thought about that today through the Spirit, it reminded me of how blessed we are to know what we know in this moment in time. It's a very, very powerful gift, you know. It's truly a gift. This is Ephesians chapter 2 and 8. And it reads, "For by grace are ye saved through faith, and that not of yourselves. It is the gift of Yahweh Shema Shai." So by having the seed of faith, which is a gift, you enter into a legacy of the righteous forefathers of our nation, which is nothing short of a miracle when you think about it. And yes, we do go through trials and tribulations, and it's supposed to hurt, you know. Even though you know what you know through the Spirit and power of Yahweh Shema Shai, your walk is still going to hurt. That's why, again, I'm going to go back to it. In Hebrews, the 12th chapter, around the 13th verse, this is why this is being said. You know, because this is an exhortation. When you think about these letters being written out to the different churches, we think about that in context, right? Like Paul during the time of Acts, you know, the disciples, the apostles, Salakia, during the time of Acts, you know, they were going out to different parts of these different areas. And Jake, who believed, were still dealing with adapting, you know, adjusting, navigating the world they were living in. And we're going through similar circumstances in these last days. You know? So when you think about the letters that are being sent to them, you know, these things were written aforetime were left for our learning. Now, the reason I say that is because when you read Hebrews 12 and 11, Salakia, it says, "Now no chastening for the present seemeth to be joyous, but grievous," which is an acknowledgement that it's still going to hurt. Even though you know the truth, it's still going to be pain. Yet, this is why we look toward prophecy. Because prophecy reminds us that we are closer than we've ever been. Closer than we've ever been. You know, that's why this lesson is, you know, one of the things I thought about in this lesson was one day closer. Salakia. One thing I thought about with this lesson was one day closer, because we truly are closer than we've ever been to those promises, man. And that's a blessing. That is a blessing for us to be this close to the accomplishment of those promises that were given to our forefathers. You know, it makes me imagine, you know, our forefather Abraham looking at the stars as the Lord tell him, you know, your seed is going to be as the stars in heaven. You know, like when the Lord is giving him those promises, and just imagining him in that lifetime looking up at the sky and just meditating on the promises that Yahweh Shema Shai had given unto him, knowing that he wouldn't necessarily see it in that lifetime, but that it was a reality. Because again, when you read Hebrews 11, it really points to that. It points to the acknowledgement that they were in a lifetime where they weren't going to see those promises accomplished, yet they saw it afar off and welcomed it. This is the legacy we descend from. Lord, when we be a part of that number? This is Hebrews chapter 11. You know what? Now grab this. Verse 8. By faith, Abraham, when he was called to go out into a place which he should receive, Salakia, when he was called to go out a place which he should after receive for an inheritance, obeyed, and he went out, not knowing whither he went. Think about the amount of faith it would take for you to go out into a place on foot with everything that you have, everything that you own, off of faith. That, like, we're really righteous, Lord willing we be a part of that number. We're really trust fund babies on the right hand side. And part of our inheritance is faith. You know, you think about Abraham, our forefather Abraham, and his immense faith to go through that type of situation. Not only to go through that situation, but to go through it with the hope that the Lord would deliver those promises unto him. Think about how powerful that is. And that's who we descend from as a nation of people. And now we're in a time through the Spirit where we're closer than ever to the faith of Abraham being rewarded concerning the promises and the inheritance, man. And it really makes you think about how much of a gift this actually is in this day and age, to have what we have through the Spirit, to know what we know. And though we go through trials and tribulations, we still have a greater hope, because having this faith puts you into the legacy of our righteous forefathers. All right, real quick. This is John chapter 16 and verse 33. These things I have spoken unto you, that in me ye might have patience. In the world ye shall have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. And this is an acknowledgement that though we have tribulation in the world, we should still be of a good cheer. Now, again, it's easier said than done, but this is the Lord talking. The scriptures talk about there's a moment where we shall weep and lament, and we're going through that stage. But we also have a greater hope than the world, because we know who's doing it, and most importantly, we know to what end. So we have peace of mind. Not just peace of mind, but we have hope, which should translate into confidence. Because we are literally one day closer to everything our forefathers were promised and believed on and fought for. Lord willing, we be a part of that number. It really reminds me of this as well. This is Numbers chapter 23 and verse. Now this is Balaam, and Balaam is getting a window into the future, right? Balaam is getting a picture of what our nation looks like at the end of this thing. And this was his sentiment. And I'll explain why I want to bring this precept out. This is Numbers 23, and I'll start at 7. And he took up his parable and said, Balak the king of Moab hath brought me from Aram out of the mountains of the east, saying, Come, curse me Jacob, and come, defy Israel. Which really shows you the love the Heavenly Father has for us as a people, man. Against all odds, even our own rebellion, even our own wickedness, the Lord is still going to make good on the promise that he gave to our forefathers. And we are completely undeserving of it according to works. But according to the Lord's mercy, Lord, when we be a part of that number, we are the inheritors of that promise. You think about on the left-hand side, you have these elite Edomites that are born into a certain family, and they don't have to exert any effort to attain the gift that they were born into. Just by being born, they inherit a certain inheritance. How much more so us on the right-hand side, Lord willing, we be a part of that number. So here goes Balaam, all right? Numbers 23 and 8, and I'll end it on this. How shall I curse whom God hath not cursed? Or how shall I defy whom the Lord hath not defied? For from the top of the rocks I see him, and from the hills I behold him. Lo, the people shall dwell alone, and shall not be reckoned among the nations. Man, it just hit me through the Spirit. The Lord called our forefather Abraham his friend. Like, we descend out of a legacy where, if you were in the world, you had an uncle or a father, and it was like, yeah, my uncle know this person, my father know this. We like how close we are as a nation of people to the Lord. It's, man, And this is something the world don't understand, how personal this relationship is between the Lord and his people, man. All right? And we're blessed to be in the know, so to speak, in these last days. Verse 10, who can count the dust of Jacob and the number of the fourth part of Israel? Let me die the death of the righteous, and let my last end be like his. Now, when you read this verse in the NLT, it says, who can count Jacob's descendants as numerous as dust? Who can count even a fourth of Israel's people? Let me die like the righteous. Let my life end like theirs. So that means Balaam, right, was willing to go through everything we're going through now. Everything that you're going through right now. The bills, the family, the job, the struggles, the trials. Balaam wanted to go through all of that. Even chattel slavery, going back to that time, all of those things to end up how we're going to end up as a nation of people, man. And this is a heathen saying this, man. And it's a very subtle reminder that we are blessed beyond belief. And though we go through trials and tribulations and it hurts and it's supposed to hurt, yet we are of a good cheer, and we should be of a good cheer and a greater hope, because we're closer than we've ever been. All right, so with that, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who are the elders of Yasha Allah, and a sincere salutation to all you Akim, who are preaching this word and believing this word, and to the Akwath, who are believing this word in all truth and in sincerity. Shalom.